Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Week 5 Nffl Ceedeez Golden Nut. Nope, not nuts. Almost said it again. Fuck, that's 2 weeks in a row. Ceedeez Golden Penix Jr. Quarterback. So coming off of a win, boys. We got in a little spat last week with our good pal Owen. We kissed and made up, holding hands again, skipping in the park. So we're all good there on that home front. However, he did have some unfortunate events on his fantasy team that led to him being lowest scorer. It did get pretty close, I do believe. I think it was within just a couple of points for lowest scorer. But regardless, we did face the lowest scorer, which is always nice because when you're 1-3, a free, simple win is all you can really ask for to make it 2-3. Because now we've got at least a little bit of a chance. We're still in the contention, tied for that sixth spot right now. I suspect that I think Jackson somebody, who is it? There's two people with me with a 2-3 record. I can't remember who they are, but they are facing each other this week. So we shouldn't, at least, if I can win, which is a big if, I'm facing Dom. That's going to be a rough one. But if I can win, we'd go back to 3-3. That'll leave just one person with me at 3-3, and hopefully we score some points on them. So the point differential is a little bit better for that 6th spot tie. And then, who knows? There's a couple of 3-2 teams out there that could go 3-3, and we could really shake up this whole freaking league. So that would be really cool, especially with the start we've had. We had JD out for, a week or two. We've had Kittle out for first pretty much 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 quarters, and 10 minutes. I think he played 8 minutes that first game, and that was it. He scored a touchdown on drive 1 or 2, and that was it pretty much. And then CeeDee Lamb, of course, we had 2 weeks where he scored about 13 to 15 points, somewhere around there. And of course he went out that game and kind of fucked some people over. But me especially, there's been some people like Pickens and Ferguson who've been picking up that slack. I think Javonte Williams has kind of solidified himself as an RB1. He's no longer just a no-namer coming out of Denver, I think is where he was previously at, or maybe the Charger. I can't remember. This motherfucker's been around. But now I think he's got a decent home. He's looking kind of like Ezekiel Elliott back in his prime. He's just got a solidified role. There's really nobody behind him taking much. I think Jadon Blue or something like that is a rookie. I think he's gotten 9 carries total this season, and I think most of that is just Williams needs a breather. So, got to give your big back a breather sometimes, and he's been putting out. So pretty happy with how the start of the season's been going. Getting into this past week, JD 17.14, Goff 20.12, Kamara 7.5, Williams 26.4. Q had an off week, 4.9. Pittman, 12.4. BTJ had a decent week, not a great week. He had 10 points. Finally eclipsed the 2-digit point week, which is nice to see. However, we need to see him increasing his role, which over the last couple weeks, I think he started off with, a decent week 1, where he got 7 to 8 points, and then he went down. In the last couple weeks, he's had 8 points and 10 points, here and there. So he's really a shitty flex guy points-wise, but name-wise and skill-wise, he should be a wide receiver 2-3 easy every day of the week. Last year he was a wide receiver 1. So I don't know. Just it's weird. He was dealing with a wrist or injury earlier this season. So hopefully we can see him become a little healthier, become a little bit more confident. And Jacksonville's going all in with some trades that they were making recently. So, it would be kind of cool to have them kind of, be passing that ball, become a decent offense that you can kind of trust some players on, instead of having you could trust one of their players every year, and that's it. Like 1 year is ETN, 1 year is BTJ, 1 year it was this guy, 1 year is that guy. But you can never trust multiple players on that team. And I think this year, they've got a couple of players who could potentially become, some fantasy players, some fantasy names here in the coming years. So that'd be cool. Goddard 9.4, Monty 17.72, a little sister homecoming game, scored a touchdown rushing, and I think he threw a touchdown pass or something. He was doing some crazy shit this past week, so that was pretty cool to see. Lions had 12 points, Jake Bates had 5, and Bjorkels had 10. So really happy out of my special teamers, getting 27 points. I've always said for the last 3 years, all you need is 30 points out of your special teams. If you can get 30 points out of those 3 players, then life is really good usually. And, we won this week, got a total of 152.58, so, 152.5 points. If that's what it takes to win in this league, that's what it takes to win. So, earlier in the season, we were talking about those 130s, 120s, 130, 40 weeks. We're winning. We're not seeing that anymore. So it's coming back to a little bit more normal. Got higher scores around the 170s, 180 range. So, you got to put out in this league. And I think we're starting to get some people healthy. CeeDee, Lamb, and Kittle. I think Kittle has a chance of coming back next week. I think he could technically come back this week. I don't think they would. Who knows? San Francisco is always super weird whenever it comes to their news. How can I say this? How they break news about player status. They are one of the trickiest teams in the entire league to be able to trust. We've had things like, oh yeah, CMC is definitely going to play, and then he doesn't play until like week 12 last year. So, and that was in the preseason. So it's pretty crazy to see, what some of these teams are allowed to get away with. And I think, some of them just take the fine and you're like, fuck it. I don't know, but Kittle's a maybe. I think he could come back next week for sure. I don't know. He's taken a lot of time off. He's a little older, and the young rook has been taking over. He's been playing a lot in the slot. Tunges, I think his name is Tunges, something like that. He's been playing a little bit in the slot. He's been playing tight end, but he's not a big dude, And George Kittle is a blocker. He'll put you into the fucking ground, but he'll also go up and high point a ball, and dance over your over your grave that he just dug for you. As he's scoring us some touchdowns as we saw week 1. So we need him back. We've had some decent tight end play. That's not really been an issue this season. We had Kittle week 1 get me 10. We had Juwan Johnson get me a couple points. A couple weeks where he had 10 or 11 points. He had a couple bad weeks, 5 or 6 points, and then we've had Goddard, last week or so, getting me 9. So I think with what we've been able to put up on the board, tight end really hasn't been our weak spot here this season. I know kickers have been pretty struggling. I think the most we've gotten from a kicker this season is 7 points, which is pretty brutal to see, especially since we drafted McLaughlin. He's now the number 1 kicker, I do believe. First 2 weeks I had him, he had a combined total score of 2 or 3 points between 2 weeks. And one of those was a 0-pointer, which is great to see, great to have on my team. That's why I got 4 zeros. On the season, I think we're still leading. However, there's been a couple guys get 2 this past week. So I think that we've got 1, maybe 2 people knocking on my door here at 3. So getting pretty close there. But then we went over to Prater, who through the first 3 or 4 weeks before we had him on the team was averaging 13 points every week. Got him on the team, got 7. Then we got Bates, who I think again was averaging his lowest was 8 or 9 points, and he was averaging 11 or 12 points. So picked him up, and motherfucker got me 5 this past week. To be fair, we're not playing great matchups. We're going more based off skill and name and what they've done in the past rather than what they could do for me this week and what's a good matchup. That's a managerial decision that we need to work on. We've been needing to work on that type of shit for years. We're pretty bad at it, but I don't know, it's just like defenses earlier in the season. I thought the Ravens would be something. I drafted them, traded up for them, and they are quite literally the 32nd ranked defense with a combined total points of like 4. I think they've had more negative weeks, 0 and negative weeks, than they've had positive weeks this year, which is insane for a defense. So they're just getting fucked. And I had them for like 3 weeks. So, but now we got the Lions. We've got Green Bay this week. Looking good. We got a couple of guys. We kept Bates. We had McLaughlin in the scope to snipe off of the waivers. Not really snipe. We were probably not going to get him, but we went with Green Bay Packers. I think that's a much better pickup. They had a pretty shitty week 1 or something. They had a really bad week one of these past weeks, where they just got blown the fuck out, which is their only loss this season, and then everything else is like 13 or 14 points. So hopefully, going against a shitty Cincinnati team, I think it is, they can put up some fucking points, especially with the new quarterback change. Who knows who's playing? Their offensive line can't do shit, and Michael Parsons is going to get 4 sacks. So this is where Michael Parsons is going to be tough. Like, this is where he is going to make his money when he got his trade and his new contract, because goddamn, I think he's already got 3 sacks in the season, 2 or 3 sacks in the season. He's almost averaging one a game, and I think he's going to get like 2, maybe 3 this game. So I love to see that. An interception or 2. Browning's great at those. Joey Flacco has been known to throw the other team as well sometimes. He gives everybody equal opportunity to catch his balls. But I don't know. That's kind of what we're doing. We threw a lot of trades out there this week. Saw a lot of trades go around. Honestly, I don't think Dabrowski made the best decisions. I think he had a pretty decent team. I think he really just needed to wait it out, especially being like 3-2. I think, honestly, he gets the win over me this week if he keeps his team pretty definitively. I'm still working through some issues. You got Kittle and CeeDee Lamb out, Kamara's just not producing very well. So a little worried. Got some injuries we're working through, but now I'm much more confident. I think projection-wise, I'm up by a couple, but that just, it doesn't mean shit. I think just looking at the team he's put together, he's got some names, but they're just not producing right now. So I kind of like our matchup this week. Of course, I'm always going to say I'm going to win, but I think this week I think it's a legitimate, I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think I'm going to have like 143. He's going to have like 138, and it's going to be close, down on the wire type shit. But who knows? Who knows? He could come out here and score 180, and I can score 96 again. So fuck it. Who freaking knows, brother? But cheers on the win. We got it over the Big O. Pretty happy about that. Talked a lot of shit this season, and I don't know. He had a really healthy team through the first couple weeks. He got a couple of pretty simple wins, and now his team's a little hurt. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. That's really embarrassing because this is stuck like a motherfucker. I was going to take a big hit, and I can't. So I'm going to leave you on that super awkward note. I'm going to upload this right before Thursday Night Football, and hopefully the Chiefs can turn it around, because we need something. We're at the same 2-3 record, and the Chiefs are a hell of a lot better team than the shit I put on paper every week. So, yeah, those are my thoughts, and I'm out. We're going to try to make this at exactly 14 minutes. So we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.